Welcome to Heat Up Your Retreats, the podcast where purpose meets planning and God-sized dreams come to life through transformational travel experiences. I'm your host, Amanda Heater, CEO of Across the Horizon Travel, retreat strategist, and passionate believer in using travel as a tool for impact. Whether you're a coach, pastor, wellness leader, or change maker, ready to lead your first or even your next retreat, you're in the right place. Let's turn your vision into a powerful, profitable, and spirit-led retreat experience. Let's heat things up together. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Heat Up Your Retreats, the podcast where we inspire leaders, coaches, and retreat hosts to dream big and bring their vision to life through transformational travel experiences. I am your host, Amanda Heater, and every week I love to bring you stories, strategies, and conversations to help you grow your business, impact lives, and create retreats that truly will change the world. Today, I am so thrilled and excited to introduce my very first guest on Heat Up Your Retreats, the lovely Miss Jayna Swan. Jayna is a powerful speaker, creator, and facilitator who helps high-performing, creative millennial women scale their life and business from a place of safety instead of stress. And her mission is to guide women in building healthy emotional regulation, creating safety and visibility, and blending masculine structure with feminine flow so that they can show up fully online and in their lives. Through her work, Jayna is teaching women how to save time, regulate their emotions, and grow both their income and their impact, all with self-love and mastery at the center. I am so excited because this is going to be a beautiful, eye-opening conversation. So let's go ahead and dive in. Jayna, welcome to the show.
Yes, Amanda, let's drop some gems so those women listening can make an impact in this world.
I can't wait. So I know we've talked before, and I know that you have hosted retreats in the past, and they have been such a transformational part of your personal journey, not just for the women that you've served, but for you as a leader too. So I want to start there. My first question that I have for you is, can you share one retreat that really stood out to you, what it looked like, who it was for, and the impact that it had on the women who attended?
Okay, so the first one that comes to mind is the very first retreat that I did. And this is the first one that I've run on my own, meaning every aspect of this retreat was fully channeled through me. I utilized all the information that I've been gathering over the last decade plus of my own personal growth journey and all of my experiences leading up till now of running other retreats and other events. And I finally just sat down, and each and every morning I would meditate. I would meditate and visualize this experience. I would visualize the faces. I would visualize the problems that they had, the blocks they were experiencing. I went through the agenda in my mind every single morning so that I could see it before I experienced it. And that allowed me to be so present in the moment for this event that I was able to bring such a powerful event. It was a room of 8 women. I had 2 other team members there with me, one photographer, videographer, and then a logistics coordinator. And this event, I'm telling you, it was everything. I had, going into each event, we have like these big fears of things that can happen, right? I had these 2 big fears, and both of those things happened to me at this event. And I would say that it's probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, right? Because you just said, like, we do this for other people, but sometimes these retreats are for us. And I needed those lessons. And the first thing was, this was a media event. It was my first one for my brand, and I wanted to capture it all in video and photo. So I had a photographer and a videographer set up. For 3 months, I had been prepping this videographer with a shot list and all the things, and here's how we're going to do this, and here are all the segments, and this is what I'm looking for, and like gave the vision. It was all there. It was ready. And 3 days before my event, she backed out. And she
Oh
was like, "Oh, I'm
no.
not going anymore." And I was like, what?" So I lost out on the room, her flight, all of the different things. So about $2,500 that I had to pay that I didn't get back, that I lost in the process, all because the very last second she backed out. And so here I could have spiraled, and I did not allow myself to. I stayed grounded. I got on the phone call with my photographer and immediately said, "Here's what's happening. Help me. I'm about to spiral." So immediately my photographer was like, "I got you, girlfriend. I will step in. I will do all the video. Just give me the shot list and I'll do my best." Because obviously she's not a videographer, but she's a photographer. It's the same concepts, lighting, placement. So she did. She took it on and that part solved itself. And I thought, okay, cool. Well, the worst is out of the way. We're just going to have a great trip now. Let's go. And
Mhm.
then we get there, and I'm in the introduction. People are coming in. We've got their bags to the side. All the things are starting. We're in the intro. I'm talking to the girls, and my logistics walks in the door, and behind everybody's head, she has like a petrified white look on her face, and she's like, "There are only 4 rooms."
Oh
Like,
no.
or 2 rooms. I'm sorry. I was waiting for 4 more rooms and they only had 2 of them. And I was like, what? And she goes, "There's only 2 rooms." And I was like, "I have 8 women. There's
Oh no.
no way I'm fitting 8 women in 2 rooms." I'm like, "This is not happening." So
Oh
I
no.
had to pause what I was doing. I had to go downstairs because she couldn't do anything. She's not the account holder. So I had to go stand downstairs and talk to them. And it was 45 minutes of me standing down at the front desk and nobody would talk to me because they knew they were in the wrong because I had booked all of this properly and all this. So I'm standing here just waiting to be talked to and nobody would come to me. And so I also knew I could yell, I could cry, I could do all of these things right now. But what am I here to teach these women?
Hmm.
You guys heard the intro. I was here to teach these women how to regulate their emotions when they're under stress. So, what is this giving me? The most perfect opportunity to show those women that I actually walk the walk. And so I stood there confidently watching my group of 11 women walk right by me as they went out for snacks, right on schedule as they should, because my logistics stayed on schedule. And so having her and my photographer be able to safely walk those women, they already knew where to go. Then I saw them again walk by me and they all waved as I'm standing at the front desk handling what needs to be handled, right? I think the things I learned were, one, I don't preach, I teach. I do the things that I actually talk about doing. And two, be very, very mindful of both when you talk about the worst case scenarios for an event, know that you might be setting yourself up for actually attracting those very experiences into your life. So if you are going to talk about what the worst case scenario is, also continue the conversation into what are your contingency plans? Because I am a living proof that I did have those thoughts beforehand and I did not think about what would I do if. And so I would have put my logistics name on the account so that she could have stood downstairs and helped. But she couldn't because I didn't do that. So the point is, you have to have a contingency plan in place because we never know what's going to happen. Would you agree with that, Amanda, that like anything can happen at these events?
For sure. I have had some things happen at multiple events that I've helped host where you have to just have that emotional regulation that you help women have, where you just have to take a step back and breathe and remember that sometimes things happen for a reason, for even bigger and greater things to happen.
Yes. Oh,
So
that's so true.
it sounds like you went through some pretty crazy things leading all the way up to your retreat. And I would love to hear a little bit about the impact during the retreat that the women had and the powerful moments that happened during the retreat. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I love doing these retreats because I think retreat is a stretch of a word in the sense of what I bring to the table. It's more of an experience
Mhm.
because it's less of the let's just go and relax and like have the freedom to take a yoga class or do some meditation. It's more structured. Every moment is really planned out in this version of these trips. So they're really called the breakthrough experience. And it is an opportunity to figure out what is blocking you. What's holding you back? What story are you still wrapped up in? What identity is no longer serving you and where you're going in life? And then as you start to identify that, then we move into another day where you're like, okay, cool. Now I know what's holding me back. Now I get to decide to let it go. And then when you finally let that go, we go through like some energetic processes, some processes on a subconscious level and help you rewire, reprogram, and step into that new identity. And then by the end of it, we're building the future you, the fancy future you, right? That version of you that you have looked up to other women and you see that future version of you in them, and you're like, oh, maybe you think I can't be her. I could never do that, right? Because you're currently in an identity that doesn't match that. Through
Mhm.
this experience, you get the opportunity to, by the last day, you're like, oh, that's me now. I'm already her, which is why I admire seeing that in other women because it's in me. And when you can recognize that and go through the process we go through with creating this future version of yourself, it really allows you to transform. And so some of the experiences that women have had is one of my favorite, ultimate favorite stories to tell is of a woman named Loyalty who joined us. And she was a Black woman who came in. She was very vocal about what she wanted to let go of. She's like, Jayna, I have generational baggage in my family and I don't want to carry this forward. And I said, all right, let's do it. I'm here for it, right? I tell people you can go as deep as you want to go with this work. The deeper you go, the more difficult the work can get, right? It's more challenging. But she
Mhm.
faced it. She faced it boldly. She did it so well. So we did our release work, and the next morning she comes to me and she's like, hey, Jane, I have a question. I'm like, all right, what's going on, Loyalty? She said, I woke up this morning and I've got all this bruising on the insides of my legs. And I was like, oh. And she's like, yeah, I didn't like run into a table. I didn't like hit anything. Like, there's no reason for this bruising. Can you tell me what this is? And I said, well, I took a breath and I paused for a second because a lot of times in these events, I'm channeling. It's not my mind that's coming up with the answer. It's my heart that's just being open to what it could be. And I sat there and I said, well, Loyalty, 2 days ago, you told me you wanted to release these old generational traumas. Do you think that this is an area in the body that your lineage could have been abused in? And she immediately face dropped. She was like, yep. And I said, okay, what's coming is going. This is just energy leaving your body. It's giving you the opportunity to be the vessel in which it leaves your lineage. And so she was like, cool, I accept that. That's awesome. I'm excited. The next morning, gone. Like,
Wow.
how crazy. It was so unique to see that. I've also had people come in and they were very vocal about another person who came in, she was super sweet, such a good friend of mine. And her name's Simona, and she came in and she's like, Jayna, I have a lot of things in my life I want to fix. I'm like, all right, let's just focus on one at a time. Like, let's do the, and I'm like, okay, I'm telling you, by day 3, she's like, I've fixed everything I wanted to come here and work on. Like every single thing I've done. So I'm gonna go to the biggest problem that I have. And I said, let's do it. What it was that she had been going through a divorce for about a year. She had a house that she had bought with her previous husband, who for about 6 months had been on the market and not a soul had looked at it. Not a
Mm.
single person had toured this place. Well, while she was there in Vegas with us on the retreat, she had 4 different people look at the house. And then by the time she was back home, she was already under contract, and 4 days later it was sold. And so she came here thinking on a wild chance she'd love to get rid of this house and went home with her exact goal being done. Like there were so many reoccurring instances of people who either had physical things happening coming up in their body, which then I resort to the research that I have and say it could be this, this, or this. And then one of those ends up giving them full body goosies or hitting their gut, or their mind just goes, yep, that's it. And then it allows them the opportunity because once we have that awareness, now we can release it. And once you release it, then now you can give yourself permission to move on to that next part of your life and step into that new identity. And that's why these are so transformative. I
Mm.
also ran another event in this year, pardon, May of this year. And one of the most transformative things there was someone went through a full death and rebirth cycle on an
Wow.
energetic level, allowing themselves to fully recognize that the old version of themselves was not who was going to take them through to that next version. And so we walked through this ability for her to write a letter to thank the old version for getting her here. She had been through so much trauma. And so being able to give the opportunity to honor the version of ourselves that got us to where we are. And then
Mhm.
she burned that letter and fully let it go and then put those ashes in the ocean and had this like beautiful process of like releasing it. Then went back in the house and a little bit later was really honest and she's like, I'm really tired. And I was like, please go sleep. Go integrate. I know exactly what's happening. It's her body was recalibrating. She had these wild dreams and woke up and then was like basically speaking differently, moving differently, thinking differently. So I absolutely love what I get to do with these experiences because I watch people change in real time. I watch them actually go from being completely stuck and having no clue and so confused and overwhelmed and burnt out and not even knowing if they have the time or money to attend this thing, thinking they're taking a risk, to going, holy shit, this is the thing I absolutely needed in my life to be able to become the person that I have been begging to become for so long. And I am just honored to be the guide because all I do is channel, all I do is show up. I just get to be the guide for whatever process needs to happen.
Jayna, oh my gosh, that's so powerful. And of course, while you're talking about these moments, they just seem so magical. But I know, and as you had said in your story, where the photographer, canceled out on you, things don't always come together very perfectly behind the scenes. So I always like to talk about the behind scene challenges. So I want to know, what are some of the biggest struggles that you faced while you were planning or even facilitating your retreats? And then how did you work through those?
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, so many. The planning process for me was actually the easiest part. Like I said earlier, I channeled it all. So it was very much in a meditation. Things would hit me. I'd immediately just. And for, I think it was maybe a full 4 months that I planned this event before I did it. So I took time. I was experiencing it every morning, so much so that I'd be like, ooh, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm sweaty after that movement session. Wouldn't it be nice to have a cold rag? So then I would write down, get extra hand towels, put them in the fridge, wrap them, make them so that my logistics then came out with a plate full of cold rags. And people are like, oh my gosh, how spoiling. That came from me experiencing it in my mind once and going, I'm hot. I need something to cool down with, right? So the planning was the easy part. It was the actual implementation in getting other people to continue to do their part, right? That photographer going and not being able to show up wasn't just not having a team member, which is a big deal, right? Having a whole human not there, that's a big deal. But I had booked us both on Southwest, which gets 2 free checked bags per ticket. But you actually have to show up on the flight to get the free checked bag. So
Yeah.
that means I had to pay for 2 extra checked bags to get there. So I had to pay a lot of extra money. And I thought that was the difficult part. No, no, no. Figuring out how to get through the airport as a single person with 4 massive, large checked bags, another carry on, and a personal item was just it was a circus act. And it was the God bless, they have those little pushy stroller things. I paid however many $7 or $8 to get one of those guys, but that was a challenge. And then I have another funny story from May. This one was it was a total fail flop, but it became the biggest memory of the entire event. Okay. So here we are. It's a beach event. It's all about self-love. It's all about learning about yourself and really stepping into yourself, right? I wanted them to go home with something that they can continue to have this energy, right? We all go to live events and we're like, oh, we're lit up and on fire. And we go home and we lose that energy. Well, I find that a lot of people tend to be tangible. Like there are different things behind me in my set, like that fan that came from my first retreat. So it holds the energy of the retreat. So if I ever want to tap in, I just pick it up. And so, in this sense, I created this activity where we all got sweats. There are these light purple sweats. And the idea was that I brought these cardboard pieces for them to put in, and then we got bleach pens. And the bleach pens, they were going to write affirmations, words of self love. We were going to all write on each other's. And then it would basically, the bleach kind of like makes it white. And then now they have sweats that have like all these words of love and affirmation that they can wear whenever they're having a bad day. So, such a cool activity. We get all of our supplies, and we're out there doing it, and we're writing on it, and then it disappears. And it's like, oh, interesting. And I'm like, we're writing. And I'm like, it's okay. It'll maybe it takes time. I'm over here like panicking inside. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And so I'm making a joke about maybe these are like stain resistant sweats. Like, oh, I got the stain resistant kind. The ladies are chuckling, like under their breath. I can tell they know something that I don't know. They're chuckling and they're holding this pen and they go, Jayna, this is an oxy stain pen. This was not a bleach pen. Now, backstory. I had a cleaning business for 8 years. So of all the people to get mixed up between a bleach pen and an oxy stain pen, hi, how you doing? Funniest story. So the rest of the day, the following day, we do like a photo shoot so they can capture them in their future you energy. And throughout the day to get them to smile, because when people laugh, it's the most natural style. To get them to smile well, I just kept yelling bleach. And I would just yell bleach at them and they would just die laughing. And it was even funnier because here we are wearing all of our sweats with our invisible ink on it, which is the inside joke now. We were wearing our sweats, and this one girl is like, "Oh my gosh, you have impeccable handwriting." Just out of nowhere, she said that, and I'm like, "Thank you." She goes, "It's too bad you decided to use an invisible pen." And I'm just literally on the floor rolling and laughing because so I created this rock that sits in front of me every single day. It says imperfection is perfection because it's real. So
Yes.
that's what I learned was that, yes, the plan was to have these bleach pens and these little cute little outfits. Those sweats still hold that energy. It did exactly what the intention was in a much more funny and memorable way. So
Yeah.
we've got to get out of our own way. We can't, yes, you can spend 4 months like me planning every single little tiny detail of an event, but please, when you show up, the reason it's so good is because you let go.
Hmm.
Masculine first through planning, feminine in the moment. And the
Yeah.
way that you give yourself the ease of allowing yourself to be in the feminine and being fully present with those who are with you is by having someone in a position like Amanda does for logistics so that you can outsource your masculine so that you can be in the feminine, so you can be fully present. I could only do that because I had my own version of that. I had Michelle who was running every single thing. Like she had the clock and she'd be like, Jayna, go brush your teeth. Jayna, you need to do this. Jayna, drink this water. Jayna, here's your electrolytes. Jayna, eat this sandwich. And I was like, because like you don't think about any of that when you're so in it. You're just conversation to conversation. You're doing all the things. And so planning's great. Being present is what makes the magic really come out of an event.
For sure. Oh my gosh. I love how real that you're being about this process because there are so many hosts to be, retreat leaders to be, and they think that they're the only ones that hit bumps in the road. I know that I have felt alone, and this is why I created this podcast is because I want to share with others that there's challenges,
Yeah,
but there's transformation that happens, and it's
100%.
totally worth it. So, when you came to your retreats, you've talked about some of your transformations you already experienced. So, do you know if some of them were in their business or if there was some in relationships or within themselves? And what was the most rewarding part for you as the facilitator?
Yeah, that's such a great question because I have seen it all. They usually people will come to these retreats with a business mindset.
Mhm.
My ideal client is a creative entrepreneur. My ideal client is someone who she creates content to support her business or content is her business. And so a lot of them have like visibility stuff. Like they want to be seen online, but then they're too scared to post, right? These kind of things. You would think that most of the wins that come from these experiences are in business. Yeah, we do have that. I have had people leave and then go and close 3 clients and paying them more than they've ever charged before, like immediately, because their belief system levels up so fast that they can charge more money and say it with ease and confidence, right? That happens. That's an easy win to share. Like for me, I'm not driven by money, so I tend to be driven more by the impacts. For me, the biggest thing that drives me is the fact that almost all of these women tend to be mothers. And so while being regulated in your business to bring in more income is great and does support your family, even more impactful is can you go from a really hard day at work to your children without snapping?
Mm.
And the stories from the moms that I get back about how present they're able to be with their babies, how much they find that they're calm and they're peaceful, they're teaching their kids the things I'm teaching them.
Mm.
Um, One of the stories I got back from the moms who she was like, you did this fun icebreaker with us, and I do it with my daughter every day now. And I'm like, what? Like something so stupid that I put in there. It's called Fortunately Unfortunate. And it was like to help people get in the mindset of like, we're taking positive elevated thoughts. So you go, one person goes, well, unfortunately, I blew a tire out on the side of the highway today. The next person's job is to create a fortunately. Well, fortunately, the guy who stopped ended up becoming my husband, right?
I love that.
So it gives you an opportunity to take things and like learn how to reframe. So we just spent about 10 minutes going through reframing. Well, she took that one exercise that we did on day one, moment one. She does it in the car with her daughter. And that allows her to then take that reframing skill and hand it to the next generation.
Wow.
That is what lights me up more than anything. If you can take the things that I'm doing with you as an adult to help your business, to help your marriage, to help your friendships, and you can translate that to the next generation, girl, I'm sold. Like that's to me like that's where my heart's at is the next generation.
Oh my goodness. So as I'm hearing this, I'm thinking about the women that are listening to this right now.
Yeah.
And especially the women that are listening are probably moms who are thinking about hosting a retreat because they want to elevate their level of their business. And maybe they don't know really where to start. And so I want to ask you, looking back, what are a few lessons, like two key lessons that you learned from hosting retreats that you wish you knew before you started that process?
Yeah. Okay. One of them would be give more space.
Mm,
Right? Because that's the number one feedback that I got from any event I've ever run because I tend to be the giver and I like over giving. I like
yeah,
packing
yeah.
things in to make sure someone gets a takeaway. A lot of my guests, so this is essentially me giving you, the listener, permission. Less is more, and that's okay. Right? We don't have to prove ourselves. And as people who run retreats who want to make an impact, typically we're trying to prove ourselves. We're trying to fill it with so much stuff to make sure that they get something out of it. And it just feels like a lot. And it
Yeah.
feels like the proverbial drinking from a fire hose. So a lot of these women were like, Jayna, this was so good. I got great stuff.
Mm,
And I wish I had more space to integrate. I wish there was more time for just open conversations, right? So, what is it? They say like the money is in the margins,
mm,
where it's like more people can connect and make those relationships, and those relationships are long term, what help them more than the actual impact of the event. So give them curate times for them to bond, curate times and leave open space. I know it's scary. It really can be when you're planning an event because you have so much you want to do. It can be really scary to put an hour or two of nothing. But I'll
yeah.
tell you, they'll fill that with exactly what they need. And so that's our trusting and surrendering to the feminine. So that's the one thing that I would give is like leave more space. The second thing that I'd say we can learn from this is like I will never run an event and not visualize it like I did before the first one because the ability to put yourself in the shoes of that person attending, that will help you curate your agenda and what you need and how many staff members you need and what the process and the flow is so much better than any conversation with ChatGPT, than any modeling some other event, than any just duplicating what you've experienced in the past. You are here to bring something so unique to this world. It does not need another clone of something else. And
Yeah.
by sitting and meditating, calming yourself, quieting that voice, and just closing your eyes and seeing yourself go through the process from both the shoes of the facilitator and the shoes of the attendee, that helps you put yourself in a client focused position. That helps you put yourself in a position where you're like, cool, experience first. That's always my go to, right? If we focus on ROI, we are in our masculine.
Mhm.
If you're only ever focused on how much am I going to make, how much is going to cost, oh, go cheap, cheap, cheap so we can keep the margin high, you are in your masculine and you will lose.
Yeah.
The traditional ways are not working anymore. People don't buy tradition, they buy people, they buy experiences, they buy memories. You sell transformation by selling the client experience. So focus on the experience. A cold rag after a movement class is experience.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost us anything. So it doesn't have to cost you something to feel luxurious. Think of it as like you also don't have to be luxurious. That's just the way that I go. I know that my people, I want them to feel elevated. I want them to feel spoiled. My ideal client serves everyone else in her life all the time. I
Mhm.
want her to show up and feel like she's being spoiled hand over foot, right? So that's how I look at this. But that came from the vision for me because I opened my channel, meditated, and sat and thought about it. And maybe yours is completely different, and that's okay too. But leave space and visualize it beforehand. Those are the two things that are going to make your event unique, special, and actually feel well rounded. And you might get a compliment similar to what I got, which the number one compliment I got from running my first retreat in full was one of the girls who has known me for a long time. She came up to me and she said, I made a mistake. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I should have hired you to do my wedding.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, whoa. And because we all know that weddings are the number one experience of anyone's life outside of childbirth. And so it's like for someone to say, I wish I had had you design my wedding, like that. And I went to her wedding and it was phenomenal. And so, like, to think that she thought I could have done something better than that, like, that was a compliment above all compliments when it comes to building an experience. And that speaks to the fact that I'm so adamant to tell you, like, focus on the experience, focus on the intention of what you want them to walk away with. And
Yeah.
they will not remember the fan. They're not going to remember the playlist. They're not going to remember, what time lunch was or what even they ate. What they'll remember is how you made them feel.
Wow. That's amazing. Those are some gold nuggets, Jayna. And I appreciate you sharing and being so very honest with us because I know that there's listeners who are listening to this right now and they're feeling that tug that they want to create something like this. So I know we're running out of time today. And gosh, I feel like we could talk for hours because this
I know.
conversation has been so inspiring. I am learning from you personally. And I know the listeners are going to walk away today with something, with at least one practical tip and advice from you. But there's so many gold nuggets in this conversation. But I want this to also to be an encouragement to them to step out and create experiences that change lives because that's why we've been put here on this earth is to help others, right? And I want to say thank you so much for sharing your heart with us today, Jayna. I really appreciate you. And so before we close today, I always like to ask, where can our listeners find you and how can they get in touch with you?
Yes. I like to hang out on Instagram. You can you can chat with me there. It's Jayna.Swan. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes or the description or somewhere down there. You can also you can listen. I do have a podcast where I like to talk about these things. It's super casual. It's just me. Usually it's like 5 a.m. and I'm in a robe and I'm just talking into a mic and it's audio only, but it you can find it and you'll love it. It's called A Millennial's Guide to Healthy Emotional Regulation in Life and Business. It is a mouthful, but it is SEO rich. So
I
you will be able to find it. I'd say those are the best places to hang out with me. If you are inspired by this, but you're feeling scared, right? It's very common for us as we start to dream about doing things that are in a new identity for us to start to think, but why me? Right?
Mhm.
Am I really the right person for this? Can I really do this? If those are the things that are coming up in your mind, highly encourage you to check out what I just launched called the Her Collective. It's a space where once a month I come out and I do like a collective coaching and you can come in and ask your questions, but you also unlock every single resource I've ever created for my clients. So all sorts of things to help you through developing safety around visibility. If it's body language, like if it's like body image based, which a lot of people it is, being on camera, there's things to work through that. If it's
Mhm.
organizing your content behind the scenes, you just don't know how to do that, I have resources for that. If it's like if all of the things, I have over $1,600 worth of resources that I've created across the board that you get access to. And it's really just a space because I love to help creators, because I know that if I can help you guys run events and you can get your voice out there more, that we can make a bigger impact. And that's what I'm here for, is how many people can we impact on this planet?
Oh my
So,
goodness. Jayna, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your wisdom, your heart. You are just genuinely such a wonderful person, and I love you and your soul.
thank
So
you.
your story is honestly such a reminder that these aren't just events, like you said. They are actually sacred spaces where transformation happens, and people who attend and the hosts, they get to step up and create those, right?
Yeah.
And so to our listeners, if this conversation has sparked something in you today, please do not ignore that nudge. I want you to start dreaming. I want you to start planning, and I want you to know that you don't have to do it alone. So here at Heat Up Your Retreats, we are all about equipping you to take that vision and turn that into a reality. So until next time, my friends, keep dreaming big, keep serving well, and keep heating up your retreats. Bye, friends.
Thank you for tuning in to Heat Up Your Retreats. I hope today's episode sparked fresh inspiration and reminded you that your retreat vision is meant to be realized. Are you ready to take the next step? Please send me an email at amanda@acrossthehorizontravel.com with the subject line of strategy session, and let's start building a transformational retreat that aligns with your mission. Be sure to follow, share, and leave a review so more leaders like you can heat things up too. Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep planning bold, and keep heating up your retreats.